for joining us, guys. Question for our student athletes. We'll start with Justin and then Mike.
Chubba, can you talk about this Chowing Down with Chubba series and how that got started and how it's been so far?
Yeah, I mean, as far as how I got it started off as a joke, really. I remember I was talking with Ben Thanis and Tobrick Blaine, and I remember I had mentioned, like, when I was younger, because I used to be on a diet when I was younger, and, like, one of my dreams was to be Man vs. Food or, like, Guy Fieri. And they're like, Ben bring it up. He was like, what if I made it happen? Would you do it? I was like, hell yeah. And then now, here we are.
What's it like sharing that experience with your teammates, other athletes, and what's been your favorite restaurant so far?
I mean, it's been amazing, just being able to just do it, You see it all the time and like on TV or like just people posting it on like social media, stuff like that. But being able to do it with my teammates, it's been nice, not having to do it alone, share the wealth, the food is, food is just food is food, it's great. Who doesn't like free food? And I think as far as my favorite spot so far, probably Baja Cafe is fire. That strawberry shortcake pancakes is fire.
Michael and Troy.
Chase, have you been invited on one of these outings?
No, not yet. I need to get on Chowing Down with Chubba though.
Soon.
My serious question is, what is his role in the locker room? What kind of a leader is he? What is his influence on the team?
I feel like ever since Chubba been here, like, I can't even explain it because Chubba impact is so great in the locker room just because of the person he is, how he carries himself, like, nicest human being I've ever met, like, go out his way, do whatever for anybody, a great leader, like, really go on and on about Chubba. Like, his impact is great and is known around all of Tucson, really.
Troy and then David.
So Chubba, that Kansas State game, we saw you get it in there. Now you are listed as #1 on the depth chart at your position. Just your progression since making the switch from D tackle to offensive line. What have you seen out of yourself, and just how's it going out there at guard?
Well, for me, first off, I just gotta give a shout out to our coaches and my teammates. All the guys on the O-line. They've made it so much easier for me, as far as just giving me a lot of tips and tricks for like little things as far as like technique goes, and like just noticing little things. And shout out to Coach O, Coach Baker, Coach Stu. Those guys just taking time out of their day, extra time within their busy schedules to just sit me down and just really teach me like the ins and outs of all the plays, and just not even learning just my position, just learning what everybody has to do. And I'm just trying to take in as much information as I can, and just go out there and have fun. Just leave it all out there.
David and then Brian.
Yeah, Chubba, what has been fun for you just about making this transition, and how do you see it being different from defense to offense?
I mean, for me, just playing is fun, because at the end of the day, football is the sport we all fell in love with when we were a kid. So just being able to be out there on the field with my brothers is just, it's the funnest thing in the world to me. And as far as the difference, it's a lot different because defense, you can have more of an individual impact. But on offense, you have to work more especially on the O-line, you have to work as a group. And, you have to be selfless. Just do your job, like nothing more, nothing less. As long as you do your job, everybody does what Doege calls up, then, it's a victory at the end of the day. And just play hard, too.
Yeah, what's that feeling like kind of when you bend the seam back and you feel Ishmael behind you kind of rolling through for a big game? What's now that you're in that role, what's that feeling like when you look up and say, man, we got a big run out of this?
Well, for me, it's just, I kind of just think about everybody else. It just makes me happy to see, just to look around, see Izzy running down the field, see all the boys chasing them, looking on the sideline, see everybody celebrating, just that feeling of seeing everybody happy, all the hard work we put in, it pays off in those little moments, seeing, everything go together, especially after the fact, when we come back and watch film and just literally watching every little thing, this person, and just how all the pieces just connect together, and then you just see this wonderful masterpiece. Yeah.
Brian and then Justin.
Chase, looking at the film for Iowa State with all their use of the tight ends, what kind of difficulty comes from knowing that you may be having to guard guys that are bigger than you?
I mean, I play DN, so for me individually, it's not too big of a change because going against 320-pounders to 250-pounders, it's a difference. But at the end of the day, we just got to play ball like we know how to do, violent, fast, physical, and that's what we're going to do.
But I mean, if you're out in coverage against these kind of guys, just like, I mean, is it a matter of because of their physicality that you have to do something different than you would if it were a running back or a receiver?
I think most definitely got to take that into factor, just their size and speed different. So you got to play it a little different. But I think the biggest challenge that we'll get just from guarding them in a way is just, that size. But I feel like we big too, and we going to handle it.
Justin and Michael.
Chase, through 3 games, what do you think has contributed to your guys' success on defense?
Rail line. Like, I ain't going to lie. Like, the effort that we put in, like, it just don't come on Saturdays. It come throughout the week, Monday through Sunday or so. That's what we've been preaching in meetings. That's what we've been preaching in practice, just effort, knowing your assignment, knowing what to do, running to the ball, and really just playing balls to the wall. And that's what we've been trying to do every single day.
And then that 4 linebacker look that you guys rolled out last week, what do you think about that and just kind of the versatility that you guys have at linebacker?
I think it just speaks to the talent and, like you said, the versatility in the room because once Coach G put it in and started, we was all happy that we were just able to play with each other at the same time on the field. And so I think that made it even better because we love each other, we love competing, and that just allowed us to work, really push each other because we wanted it to get done. We was always asking for that kind of package just because we love each other, and it's fun. Like I think it allows us to do something very unique, very different, just like with all the things we do as you see it on film. And I'm excited. I was excited about it.
Michael and David.
One question for each for Chubba. Probably the biggest issue the offensive line has had so far is the holding penalties. There have been a bunch of them. What are some of the techniques or fundamentals that you guys have been working on over the last week and a half or so to maybe not commit those penalties?
For us, it's just a lot of it has to do with our feet work. Just getting our feet faster. Just tighten up the feet work and as far as like the pass pro goes, and also just we've been doing a lot of hand work. Learning how to re-rod. Not learning, but like emphasizing it. Just over exaggerating it so we can build the muscle memory to just really use our hands in the right places and stuff like that.
Quick follow-up to that. How hard is it when the back or the quarterback is already on past the line of scrimmage and the defender trying to get away from you to not grab onto them?
I mean, it's pretty hard, but like you learn to kind of like read their body language, the defenders. You can kind of tell when like the quarterback's rolling out a certain way just because like their eyes follow them or like they just kind of run. Sometimes you kind of get caught up in it, so you kind of like can't escape it. But for the most part, it's not too difficult to deal with. It's just more annoying, if that makes sense.
And then for Chase, I asked Coach Brennan yesterday if there was a turning point for the defense, maybe sometime over the summer, either in workouts or training camp. And he referenced that one practice you guys had inside where I think there were 5 interceptions in about 15 minutes. What do you remember about that?
That practice. So going into that practice, we had a challenge to get 3 takeaways, and it was either 2 or 3, I don't remember, but we ended up getting 5, and they all just came in that one skelly period, and I just remember like the energy, like the feeling in the indoor, that was one of the craziest moments I've ever been in part of college football. It was just pick after pick. That just comes from people doing their assignment, doing their job, and playing with effort and energy.
David and then Jason.
Yeah, but it was pretty clear from the first practice that this defense was different than maybe what we had seen last year. Why do you think you guys were able to gel so quickly and make it look so seamless into what Andy wanted you guys to do?
Well, honestly, we didn't want the same thing that happened last year to happen again. And I think once everybody made up their minds and people we brought in, like as in the transfers, even high school kids, I think we just all decided to flip that page, turn the corner, and Coach G really instilled it at that red line. Coach Brennan, I feel like that's what really got us there. This weight room, Coach Carroll pushing us, talking about the price never decreases, always increases. And I think just hearing that every day, it forces you to just put that in your mind, just dominate everything you do, no matter what it is. You can be tying your shoe. I'm gonna beat you to tie your shoe. And that's just how we operate.
There was a number of plays in the game against Kansas State where you put pressure on the quarterback. Maybe he didn't get the sack, but got in his face enough to affect the play. What's key about those types of plays, those types of looks, the blitzes they're sending you on that allows you to be able to affect the quarterback in that match?
I think this comes from just within the scheme we play and just how we operate and the play, the call. Like, it could be anybody right there. It's just about doing your job and really just playing assignment sound football. But I feel like the way we press to the quarterback, though, I feel like people really see that, and offenses gonna have to take account for that because people know Coach G aggressive, and we're gonna keep doing that, keep sending pressure, and just playing our style of football.
Jason and Troy.
For Chubba, is there Iowa State has a really good interior lineman, Dominic Orange. When you go up against a guy like that, what does your mindset have to be, or how do you kind of approach those types of matchups?
Well, for me personally, just knowing that, knowing and believing that our front five is better than any 3, 4, or 5 that you put against us, and knowing that whatever job needs to be done is going to be done. And as far as the mindset goes, you just got to believe that whoever's lined up in front of me, they can't go against us. There's nobody that we can't block together. So.
And then for Chase, I asked Coach Brennan last week, and he told me to ask the players, why do you think, when you watch you guys play defense, it's very apparent that guys are hitting harder and more aggressive? Why do you think the mindset or the approach has changed from last season to this season?
Violence, we hit bags every day at practice. Everything we do is just geared towards playing more physical than the person across the line from you. And so we instill that every day from the players, coaches, everybody. Physicality is what we try to harp ourselves on, try to hang our hat on, and we're gonna try to make that our identity. So we're just gonna keep coming and keep coming. That's it.
I'll ask two of you, Troy and Justin.
So 2 questions, Chase. When you have this bye week, usually you have a chance to see your opponent play, but both teams were off. So on that Saturday, what are you watching? What are you looking for? Is it just film on Iowa State, or are you looking across the conference?
I ain't gonna lie, this Saturday, I watched a lot of Big 12 games at Utah, Texas Tech. So I watched some of my old boys play over there. That was an interesting game. Arizona State, Baylor, another one. And really, the only thing we could do for real, chill, watch football, because Iowa State ain't play. So I watched a couple little highlights when they played Arkansas State last week, and that's really all you can do when an opponent doesn't play for real. But it was some good games on this week.
And then, real quick, on Iowa State, just their schemes, the tight end usage there. What have you seen out of their offense and just the highlights and film that you watched so far?
Just like us, I feel like their style of football is physicality, and we just got to match that. We got to bring it, do exactly what we do, play how we play, and that's gonna solve everything we do. But they're a good football team, like to run a lot of tight end stuff, 12, 13 personnel. And we got different things that we've been working on just throughout this week to try to match that or to do what we do for real. So we're just gonna play physical. I like us. We're gonna be all right.
Chubba, can you talk about the relationship you had with your dad and what this season means playing for him?
Yeah, just my dad, he was my hero growing up. The guy I looked up to, and he was a man of very few words, but his actions spoke loudly. He's a big guy, but he never talked much. But I think just my dad, he was one of my main motivators in this football stuff. He didn't know much about football. He didn't know much about sports in general, but all he knew was I had to work hard, and that's all he did. From the moment he met my mom, all he did was work and provide for our family since 1991, 1992 when they met. And I just learning that from my father, just putting my head down and then just keep working, being humble. And as far as the season goes, every time I do strap on the helmet, put on the shoulder pads, first thing I see is his face. I could just hear him in the back of my head, just cheering me on, telling me let's go. And then whenever I do mess up, it's it's all right, on to the next. Just keep it going. And yeah.
He's a big Raiders fan?
He is.
Are you named after him? James?
I am, yeah.
And what did it mean to come back to Tucson after he passed and to have the support from your teammates and the coaches?
It meant the world to me, you know. It meant a lot to me and my family, especially my mother. You know, that was the love of her life, and she's taking it really hard. But just knowing that, you know, you tell your parents all the time, like, yeah, Mom, I'm doing good over here, you know. I got a family over here, you know, they love me. But to see that, you know, to really see it and feel it, it just hits different. And it assured me that, you know, I made the right decision to come here to Arizona. And yeah, I'm grateful for it.
What did your dad do for a living?
He was a Boilermaker. He worked in the refinery. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you guys.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll go questions for Coach Doege. We'll start with David.
Coach, just I want to go back to that 4th and 3 play that where Noah just threaded it to Jabin down in the red zone. How did you evaluate that play? What did you like about the way he was able to make that play?
I mean, obviously, 2 players making plays. Like, those are, 2 of our better players that we feel very confident about. We prepped that. We knew if we were going to get a 4th and 3 to a 4th and 4 call, that was going to be my call. So I stayed with it. We did a little motion knowing that we're going to get man to try to soften, the little orbit motion to soften the coverage a little bit just to give us a little room. And I thought Noah did a great job of putting it on his chest. And honestly, Nunu had no other choice but to catch it. But they executed it perfectly. I mean, we didn't get a ton of reps at it, when it comes to a situational play like that, because, but it was a base play that we have. It was just a little bit of flavor to it with a little motion. So we've executed that play over and over and over. And going to that, I felt very confident we were going to make that throw and that catch. So I was proud of them.
So where you mentioned the motion softens the coverage, because it looks like they basically came back to the same set, but where is that softening? How would you explain that?
Yeah, so I knew it was going to be man, and instead of just letting it, obviously sitting at the sticks, it's 4th and 3, so that if you're going to run a slant, the guy's not going to back up at all. But if you could motion a little bit just to get him off his spot a little bit, and he's got to think about, okay, what's coming now, versus just sitting there knowing I got leverage, and it protects the leverage. So maybe he was slightly inside. Well, you motion, does he get slightly head up? So now you have a little bit better advantage coming in on a slant like that. And so I felt like it, like I said, it was something we prepped through the week. I felt really strong about it. And it's, like I said, it's like kind of a day 1 play for us. We just put a little flavor on it to try to give us the best advantage.
Justin and Brian.
What stands out to you when you look at Iowa State's defense, especially their secondary?
That nobody's truly consistently scored or moved the football on them, right? I guess last year, what were they? The top pass defense in the country. And I can see why. When you watch the games from last year, I mean, there's a couple teams that didn't throw for over 80, and there were teams in the Big 12 that have talented players, but they do a great job of when you hand the ball off, they attack their fits. And, obviously, just like everybody's always talked about a 3-high structured defense, it looks and seems like there's a lighter box, but then all of a sudden there's 6 to 7 hats very quickly at the line of scrimmage. And so, and then when you do drop back, well, now there's 8 people dropping into coverage. And so there's not a whole lot of space there. So schematically, it's a great scheme, but a lot of people can run great schemes and not be very good at them. They're really good at what they do. And so that's one thing that I've noticed just watching watching the games from last year and watching the games from this year. I mean, they're very disciplined and very detailed in what they do, and they play extremely hard, and they tackle really well, and they're really good at forcing turnover. So we got to be extremely disciplined and detailed in what we do to be able to attack them.
I feel like we can ask you this every week, but Iowa State, I'm sure you probably played against them a handful of times. What do you remember about those matchups?
So my junior year, we beat Oklahoma. They were number 3 in the country at Oklahoma, and we snapped a 39-game home win streak. And, I come home, and obviously Coach Leach, Mike Leach wasn't the head coach at the time, but he called me, and he kind of ripped me. And he called me to directly tell me, like, basically, you need to get those guys ready because Iowa State will come into Lubbock and jump on you guys. And, that weekend was like a weekend that you wouldn't forget. I mean, Snoop Dogg's calling me. I mean, everybody, and you just beat OU. So you have everybody in the world calling you and saying, hey, come hang out. And then you got everybody in the world telling you how great you are. Well, Iowa State rolls in the next week and just hammers us. I mean, just destroys us, like 49-14. We didn't play very well. They weren't very good on offense, and all of a sudden they scored 49 points. They've always been good on defense. Paul Rhodes was the head coach there at the time, and he's one of my favorite guys to see after a game because he would hype you up so well. Like, it's almost like, man, this guy really loves me, maybe. Like, I really like Paul Rhodes. And then my senior year, we went there, and I threw a pick six early. They had two All-American linebackers. I can't remember their names, but I threw a pick six early, and we responded through that, ended up finding a way to win there. But I do remember this. It's a tough place to play. And you would think, like, when you're coming in on a bus, it's like, where am I? It's almost like I'm in the middle of nowhere. It's like these cornfields almost, And then all of a sudden, it's just like everybody's ecstatic about Iowa State football. And I was pretty surprised, honestly, about as a player at least, the environment. They had it rocking. And so I expect nothing less now. Obviously that was back when they were still trying to sustain, a winning tradition, and now they're playing for championships. So it's a little bit different ball now.
Brian and Michael.
The fact that both you and Iowa State are coming off a bye, does that change anything in terms of, for you scouting them, that they've had time to extra prepare? And then also for yourself, does it give you maybe too much time to put together a game plan that you don't want to spend too much time on it?
No, I think maybe if the structure was a little different, I think it comes at the right time because it is such a unique structure on how they fit the run game. Again, like, where you're going to find space in the pass game. So giving us 2 weeks, like, that's an advantage for us, just to get prepared. And obviously it's an advantage for them too. I think I got to do, we've done a great job of our, a self-scout and seeing what our tendencies are to see if we can eliminate some of that. But at the same time, not get away with, from what we're good at and what we can execute at a high level. I think there's a fine line there of, like, trying to hide stuff, but also doing a great job of executing what you do well. And so I think it was, for us, I guess for them too, obviously they'd say the same thing. But for us, I've enjoyed having 2 weeks to prepare just because they're good at what they do. And they make it hard to figure out how you're going to move the football and how you're going to score. So I've enjoyed it. Now, our kids, and we attacked the bye week now. We practiced really hard. And I thought our guys did a great job of answering, the challenge of what we challenged them on of winning the bye. And I thought we did. Now, as coaches, those bye weeks are tough because you're prepping, then all recruiting takes another level just because you have some time, and then you're traveling. So by the time you get here on Saturday, right before Sunday to go prep again, you're like, gosh, dang, I'm exhausted. I thought bye weeks was to get fresh. Now our kids are fresh. Our coach is not we got to find a way, but it was good. Like I said, I thought we attacked the bye, and it gave us, a whole nother week just to kind of look through some stuff and be very thorough in how we want to attack, this scheme.
Michael and then Troy.
I want to say that since the very first pass of the season, which maybe could have been picked off, that Noah has done a really good job of managing the game, and there haven't been many instances where you thought maybe there would be a turnover on this way. Can you just comment on how he has gone about managing the game after, I think, tying for the league lead in interceptions last year?
Yeah, here's the thing about Noah. And even as a runner, he's very elite at understanding space and being aware of people, okay? And so when you give him a plan of action and he studied that plan of action, he knows where to go with the football, but he also knows what really bad could happen if he does try to do something, outside of what the plan is. Now he's really good because he's going to prep that way. So if you don't prep him that way, now he's out there just going rogue. Well, of course, anybody that's going rogue, it's kind of a flip of the coin, whether or not you're going to turn the ball over or not. But what he's done a good job is prepping, and then, like I told you, even as a runner, he doesn't take these massive hits. Why? Because he can feel space. He can feel people, right? He understands, like, when he's about to take a blow and get down. He understands, like, a weak shoulder cut. Like, that stuff is hard to evaluate on people, in my opinion, on, like, recruits, is evaluating guys' ability to understand space, rhythm, timing, and just feel in general of people. But he's got an elite skill set of that, which makes another thing that makes him special. And so I think the credit to his prep, not forcing things, not trying to be Superman, and also being very savvy in the game has led to him controlling and managing the game at a high level.
Troy and Justin.
You feel like this bye week, in terms of health, that you're the healthiest you've been in the last couple of weeks going into this Iowa State game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the key, right? To me, that's the most important. You know, Danny says it all the time. The freshest teams have the best advantage to win on Saturday. So, yeah, we attacked it. And we got great work, but I do think our guys are feeling better. You know, coming off a 3-game stretch, some guys that we were missing in fall camp have gotten a chance to be in the mix now. You know, and so we're excited about where we are as a team from a health standpoint, and I think our guys are fresh and ready to go attack. You know, this week.
And then just your thoughts on the progression that Chubba's made from the start of camp to now and being in that starting unit.
Yeah, it's a big jump, because you got to understand this. Transitioning to an O-line in that short of period of time, like, yeah, he's had the spring, the summer, but he's really never been the guy. And there's so much technical, fundamental work at that O-line position, and the communication, which we require our guys to have a lot because of Oglesby's kind of system, which allows us to have success versus movement, versus everything that you can be thrown at you, right? It's not as simple as as I've seen in the past, but I do think it gives you an advantage if you can get it, right, the way you rep it. So for him to come into that room and be able to pick it up, and then against K-State to play at the level that he played at was very impressive. Now, I'm not ready to crown him. I think there's still competition there with him and Mike. And then when Jordan gets back, where does that go? And so he's still got a lot to prove, but that night, Friday night against K-State, he proved that he belonged. And he helped it, and he was a major reason why we were able to run the football. So I was really proud of him.
Justin and then Jason.
What have you seen just as far as the running game, offensive line, running backs, and how important is that for this game coming up against Iowa State?
Yeah, if you want to attack Iowa State, you better be able to run the football. And so if they can make you one-dimensional, it's going to be tough. And so we got to be great at how we're attacking them. And then obviously you've heard Chase talk about it. Like, to me, what their MO is like how hard they play and how physical they are. I mean, they just got a tradition that, I think I've heard Coach Brennan say it, like, this is a tradition that we're striving for at the University of Arizona. Like, we want to have sustaining championship runs like they do. We want people to turn on the tape and be like, these guys play incredibly hard, and they're tough, and they're physical, they tackle well, they block well, they're efficient. And so those guys have what we want, and they do a great job. So I think, with anything, we got to continue to attack this run game. I think our running backs are playing well. Obviously, we've had some success on the ground. We got to continue that. We got to continue to find answers that give us the best advantage to give those guys some space so they can go make plays.
I don't know if you had a chance to see this. It came in the last few hours, but Jackson Dart was named the starter for the Giants.
Nice.
Just tell us about just the relationship that you have with him, working with him, and what do you think about this next opportunity for him?
I mean, he's going to crush it just because he's the ultimate competitor. He's about as confident he's not a kid anymore, confident as a dude as I've ever been around. Obviously, we have a really tight relationship. It's almost like a little brother to me. He still texts me right before the games, tells me good luck. I do the same. I just haven't looked at my phone to notice that he was going to be the starter. But like I said, I'm not surprised because of who he is. Like, he's gonna walk into a building and completely take it over by his personality. He's a very likable person. People gravitate to him. The confidence that that comes off of him, that kind of spills over to the team, and everybody just buys into who he is and what he's about. And like I said, when he comes on the field, man, he's trying to bury you, which I love. I'll give you a story. we're playing Auburn. We're playing Auburn at Ole Miss, and it's kind of one of those games, like we're talking like how we're going to run the football because they're freaking good up front. And Jackson kind of pulls like his growing on Thursday. Well, we talk about, maybe, hey, like we'll be all right. We'll give you some medicine. We just won't run you, on Saturday. We'll just, we'll take care of you. Well, we ended up running him like 20 times, and he ran for like 150. But it was like he didn't blink an eye. That's just who he is. Now, he wasn't 100%, but he ran for 150 and gave us a chance to win that game. That's just who he is. I mean, him and Noah are so similar. Their games are different, right? Because I think, obviously Jackson with if you saw his legs are about as thick as Quincy's, right? His legs are like tree trunks. So he can sustain hits like running power read, running GT, running counter. This dude has been hit more than I've ever seen anybody get hit. He just pops back up like a running back, right? That's where he's been able to sustain and stay healthy because you can run him. But also he's an elite thrower, and he's got that, just like I talked about with Noah, he's got elite traits when it comes to awareness, space, feel, and rhythm. He sees the game the right way. And like I said, anytime you're around him, you just love the kid, so all of his teammates just freaking buy into him, and that's what I'm assuming happened at New York too.
Jason and then David.
When you watch the film and look at the offensive line holding, what do you attribute it to?
The holding? Sometimes I think it's lack of fundamentals when we get tired, right? So like if you look at most of the holdings have come on the back end of drives. So I'm tempoing and we're stopping our feet. We're not setting off the ball properly. We're letting the fatigue dictate what our job responsibility is. And that's really hard, right? And so we've actually done some things through practice to eliminate, to try to put those guys in those situations. That way it's just not like, hey man, you gotta, it's not just a encouragement, it's not just a motivational tactic of saying, hey, here, you gotta set properly. Now I'm training him to those moments where, okay, we get in the low red, or we get in scoring position, and we do want a tempo, and we do want to throw the football, we do want to run counter. Are you gonna be able to do your job while you're tired? And so that's just, to me, we gotta train them the right way, continue to train them that way. And then obviously there's a mentality part to it, in my opinion, that they got to make that decision of, okay, I'm tired as hell, but I'm going to finish this thing. You know what I mean?
And then you mentioned Jordan Brown a minute ago, but without giving too much away, what would he add in his return and the type of lineman he is?
He's just a very twitchy, athletic. He didn't play, he was a basketball player in high school. He didn't play college football until he went to a prep school. Right, he was kind of like a skinny basketball player. So you can see the athleticism when he comes off the ball. Now, obviously, anytime you haven't played very long, there's got to be a grace period. It's kind of like with Rhino. There's got to be a grace period for Rhino to know that he's got to get back into football shape because he didn't take those fall camp reps. Rhino didn't, right? And then we're always putting him in there, and all of a sudden, that fatigue jumps on him heavy, right? It's going to be the same thing with anybody coming back. He's got to get back into football shape, but when he is fresh, he's super, super explosive, and gives us, a piece inside that I think we're, that explosive part we're kind of missing.
Our last two will be David and then Mike.
Seth, obviously, you played quarterback in high school. What did you see on the play when you tried to throw with him? Was it ever there for him to make that play?
No, they covered up pretty well. Anytime you call a trick play, it's kind of a feel thing, in my opinion. I tried to set it up a couple times. Like obviously, playing in that set earlier in the game, we ran basically like a divide screen to him. We also ran like a flood. We actually threw it to the tight end. And then we tried to run like a bash counter out of it too. And then I was like, okay, it's time to, as soon as I get into scoring range, I'm going to call it. So we call it, and they covered up pretty well. I thought he had two things he could have done. One, it's one of those things that's I take ownership of this because it's one, it kind of goes back to the holding with the offensive line. We walked and talked through it. If you don't have it, throw it over his head or just run it, okay? but you never gave him that real rep. And that when people are flying at you, it's like, oh, all of a sudden panic, let me try to make a play, and he throws it. And so, like I said, I think I take accountability for that, just trying to eliminate a negative play when it wasn't there. Does he make a unbelievable throw and give Kean a chance? Sure. But he also he's not here to play quarterback, And so, like I said, we took a shot, and it didn't work out.
And with Maae, that dump down on the third down play, and he just exploded into the hole. What's special about his ability? Because we've seen him be able to do that on a number of occasions.
Yeah, he's a super explosive player. And when he sees space, that's the thing about him that I love, is when he sees space, there's no dance. It's like violently trying to attack the space to go get what I can. And that was just another example of it. To be honest with you, I thought Noah should have gone we had a post curl open on that play that would have got us, 2 or 3 yards from the sticks as he caught it. And he ended up checking it down to Maae, and Maae went and found it for us. So that's just a special player using his tools and his gifts to go be himself. Another on top of that is he's bought in. Like, he's bought into choosing violence. He's bought into protecting the football. He's bought into it being about us and the red line that we're preaching. So there's no, during camp, he was probably playing at the highest level, and then he had a little setback, and it took him a minute to get going, but now he's back going. So I'm super proud of him. I'm excited to see, as it progresses, and he's a great player for us.
Mike Gundy was let go this morning by Oklahoma State. I assume you played against him, or either as a player or as a coach. Just your thoughts on what he's contributed to the Big 12, and if you have any good stories about him.
No, I've gotten to meet him a couple times, obviously at media days when I was a player, and then he spoke at a coach's clinic at USC when I worked there. But I've always admired him because he's unapologetically himself, and that's what I admire about him. It's like Mike Gundy's going to be Mike Gundy, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the situation, regardless of the arena. And so, obviously, he's done big-time things at Oklahoma State. I mean, when we played them, they were hard to beat. They were throwing the ball all over the place. And so I think he's got a lot to be proud of on the history and the tradition that he's built at Oklahoma State. Obviously, you hate to see something like that happen to a guy that's built a place up. But we also, as coaches, we understand this business, and we understand that, it's about winning and winning all the time. And so you just he knows that too. And so I hate that for him. Obviously, my focus is more on beating Iowa State.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Seth.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
This is big time. Huh? It's good. No doubt, it kind of feels that way. This is great. I don't think you want me singing. You ready? No, we're good. First, the passing of Sean Clark. So as head coaches, when I was head coach in Mexico, you get to do a thing called the Spring Summit. It used to be called the Fiesta Frolic up in Phoenix, where all the coaches from across the country come, and they have a golf outing, they have a hiking opportunity, and you get to know all these coaches. And the coaching world is a very small world. I went golfing on the morning. I actually played with PJ Fleck that morning. And when I got back to the pool, my wife was hanging out with Sean and his wife, Janelle. And we had an afternoon where we're hanging out. An unbelievable human being, like just a great person. And the thought of, he's my age, 50 years old. And the thought of, me passing away and leaving my family and what the challenges that Janelle and the kids are going to have, I just pray that Jesus blesses their hearts and gives them comfort in this time. Because I became friends with Sean through that moment and in the coaching world. And just message to, I mean, especially 49, 50 years old, whatever, like, if you can do anything to avoid anything, I mean, he had a stroke and I don't know what caused it. It's what I read. I don't know. But if it could have been prevented, like, take an opportunity to try and do that. And I'm not saying that he didn't. I mean, I think Sean is an unbelievable. You see all the videos of the coaches, of the players, of everybody that, one, paid respects, and two, I mean, he was a really neat man and a great coach and a great human being. And so I pray really hard for Janelle and the kids, for their family, and just our heartfelt condolences to the whole UCF program. And I've never had to deal with a coach member of your staff passing away during season. I can't imagine what they're going through and what they've been through the last week. So just give them blessings and take a moment in your life to appreciate the people around you, because, I mean, for them, it was gone like that. And so just condolences to them and pray for Janelle. Kansas State. Okay, let's move on to that before we get to Iowa State. And now I'm a little superstitious, so I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes again, because when we lose, we'll change course or whatever. Great opportunity, and we've been pretty consistent offensively with what we're doing with the tempo stuff, and you heard Coach Doege talking about, one, doing some stuff to get those guys in better shape so that they can continue to play the tempo game, because I think it gives us, as a defensive coach, it's really hard to go against tempo, because it's really impossible to simulate it in practice if your offense doesn't go tempo. And so we have some ability to defend tempo because we do it so much around here. We have not been stressed in that realm yet, which it'll be coming. But we had 12 possessions in the K-State game. And I think the most impressive thing of the 12 for me was 6 of those 12 were 3 and out or 4 and out. And that's really special by the kids. I mean, they're playing hard. They're playing their tails off. And I think we're very physical. And I think we play with the right attitude. I mean, the first series we go out, we get a 3 and out, we get them to punt, and we get the turnover on the punt return, which we've worked on all for the last 2 weeks, and it was a great emphasis. I think Coach Nivar is one of the best special teams, and I worked with Bobby Houck at San Diego State, and I thought he was unbelievable, and I think Coach Nivar, I think they're exact same. I mean, one of the best I've ever been around. And so we get the fumble, and the attitude of, I mean, one part of our mantra, and it's know what to do and how to do it, because that's the most important thing you can have on a football team. All 11 to the ball with bad humor. And if you're curious about the bad humor, just Google it. It's like violent intent. I mean, it is, you're trying to just, whatever's in front of you, obliterate it, okay? And then keep them out of the end zone. Like, does not matter what it is. They get the ball in the 20, keep them out of the end zone. They get the ball in the 3, keep them out of the end zone. Doesn't matter. And so they get the ball in the 20, we knock them back 10 yards, and they kick a 53-yard field goal, which we should have blocked, by the way. We had put in a block, and Amin Kafusi was the guy, and we called it frog. We're going to jump over the O-lineman because you can do that as long as you don't propel them. And we had put this in during the week as an opportunity if the game comes down to the end, because all these games in the Big 12 come down, 44% of them since 2017 have come down to a one-score game in the fourth quarter, okay? So I'm like, you know what, if we need this in the fourth quarter, we'll call it and we'll try and win the game. Well, coaches get greedy, and we knock him back 10 yards. And I'm like, oh, heck no, frog, let's go right now. We're going to stop this thing from scoring. We're not giving up any points. And so Ammon does a great job and jumps over the guard, and the tackle sticks his leg out like they do, and Ammon lands on his leg, so he couldn't get the double hop. But he should have had a chance to block it. If he gets the double hop, it's blocked for sure. And then Max Harris comes through there. And I think one of the ways that you can tell how hard a defense plays is watch their PAT field goal team. Because that's like usually after they score an extra point, like the demeanor is down. And you'll get a lot of lazy football teams. And I think that's a true character of how hard people play. And so watch our PAT field goal block because it's something special. And we should have blocked it. So we give them up the 3-point lead. Okay? So great. The next series, they go 11 plays and we get them on downs. And I'm a big believer. Like the turnover sword I think is an awesome deal. And I'm going to bring one in next week because we give them a replica sword of the sword as a memento forever. It's a little metal sword, and it has their name on it, and it has what the play was, and it has what the number is, because when they're like my age and they can hang it on a wall, and people will be like, oh, you played? You actually, yeah, I was a good player, because you get a lot better as you're older. So these guys will be able to, show the spear and be how good they were when it says fumble return or fourth down stop or interception. And a fourth down stop is a turnover on downs. It is a turnover, and it is one of the most momentum changing plays in a game when you stop somebody on fourth down. And you'd be amazed at the emails and the messages that I get. And like I said, I don't respond. I've only responded one time. But I got people that are upset and curious, why are we stabbing the football on turnover on downs? Well, I get to choose that, so I don't care. And we're going to stab the damn thing if we stop them on fourth down, because I think that's one of the most biggest momentum changing plays in the game. And then we went 3 and out, 5 and out for the next 2 series in the first half. They go punt after the downs. After the one that we stopped them, there's about 4 minutes to go, and we've got the 17-3 lead. That's the middle 8, which I think is super important. As I've talked about it before, it's the only time you can really have a run in football, like basketball can have a run. And they were getting the ball back coming out of the second half. We were playing really good on defense at that moment, and so I coach B, and ultimately Coach B, he's got to say, like, hey, Seth, let's run the clock out. Hey, Seth, let's freaking put the pedal to the gas. Let's go score. What do we got? We'll collaborate together. Like, how do we feel? And so before, I was telling Coach B, I'm like, hey, let's go freaking put this thing down. Let's go freaking choke them out. Let's go score. Let's go step on their neck. Like, let's go do this thing right now in the first half. And so we moved the ball methodically, and I saw on TV, because I watched the TV copies, because I think there's a lot of good info on it, like the signals and stuff. And the TV guys are going like, what are we doing? We're taking a chance to give them the ball back, which we were. And I was like, I don't care. We'll stop them again. Like, that's the confidence that our guys were playing with. So we get lucky with the penalty. We complete the third down, and then we get the 62-yard field goal attempt that 61 that Michael missed wide left, which he made from the exact same spot on Thursday night in practice. So I was like, oh, this is like poetic. He's going to freaking bury this thing, and now 20-3. A lot of momentum going in, and you'd be shocked at what kind of momentum a 60-yard field goal when we did it last year with Tyler Loop going into halftime. Like, it really does make a significant difference. He missed it, no big deal. So obviously the momentum was shook because we come out and you have the worst 3 minutes of football that I think I've ever been a part of as a team. And so we go in, they had 44 yards total offense in the first half. So, like, if you're making adjustments at this point, you're kind of guessing, because we played pretty good. Nothing had worked yet. We had a couple of things that they were starting to block and hinge, and we had talked about, like, on Coach Shear's board, like, hey, edge contain. Like, Jackson Gilkey gutted us a couple times for Weber State. We're not going to let Avery Johnson run the ball. Like, that was all week long. Like, my challenge to those guys are like, Coach, your eye's twitching. I'm like, well, don't let him run the ball. The damn thing won't twitch. Like, we're not going to let him run the ball. And so the second play of the game, they come out and we gave them a look where we're going to crash the end, and the end's going to happen to be Malachi in this one. He's going to crash, and he's going to tackle the fullback as hard as he can, regardless of whether he has the ball or not. But we're going to give a read so that Avery has to pull the ball. And then we're going to bring around one of our D linemen, Tia, who I think is really, he's a lot faster than people think. And we told him, come around sideways and chase him to the sideline, and then we'll have the cavalry come and we'll try and beat him up. Work to perfection. Friggin' Avery pulls the ball. Tia's chasing him sideways. It's the second play of the game, so if you want to go back on YouTube and watch it. And then you see Traden Stukes and Genesis come and just violently launch like they're going through the pop-ups that we do before the game. And it kind of set the tone for the entire game on what's going to happen if Avery Johnson runs the ball. And I think Avery Johnson is a great player. I think he's freaking like what Coach Doege was talking about with Jackson Dart. Like, he's gigantic. He looks like a linebacker. Like, I'd love to have him in our linebacker room because he plays with that demeanor. And so that was kind of the message. Like, we're going to send him, like, early on, like, man, we're going to be in your face all night long. Like, this is going to be a long day if you want to try and run the ball. And he's the kind of person that's like, go ahead, keep bringing that nonsense, because I'm going to freaking run over your tail. So that was kind of the emphasis of it. So we come out in the second half and give them credit. They come to a wildcat formation, which we had practiced. But, like, worst case scenario, they do a great job. And I think Jace Brown is a really good player. I mean, he was the one that gave us trouble. He caught the 31-yard ball in the second half also. But they pop a run. We line up wrong, so we have a misassignment. We have zero dominant contact on the edge coming to it. So it gives your bear, so we got the two cats and the bear, Genesis coming downfield, he doesn't really know where to fit. And instead of running and gutting that thing like the pop-up bags that we do, he kind of stutters. That's not his fault. Now, after the play, he's coming off the field, and I think there's a big moment in coaching in those opportunities because, like, the worst-case scenarios just happened, and when you see a coach, and this is just my opinion, when you see a coach, like, mother freaking cussing a dude out and being really flamboyant and all that stuff at the kid, that's like to let everybody know that that's not the coach's fault. That's his fault. Like, that's his fault. He should have made the play. And I think that's like the worst thing you can do as a coach. Because you know what? Players win games. Coaches don't. We're good on defense because we have a bunch of good players. Like, we're not good enough yet we're playing at a high level right now, and they believe in it. But we're like no means as good as like what my vision is when I sat up here in the spring. But like when you do that stuff, like you're like singling out the kids, which I think is the worst thing you can do. And so I just went up to Jen. I'm like, hey, like we don't give you guys rules. Gut him. No big deal. Okay, how are we going to respond to this? Well, obviously we responded terrible to the football team because then Michael Salgado Medina drops the next punt. Okay, we get them down. We're down there on like the 12-yard line. So now this is second possession of the second half, and I did not mean to gloss over the 75-yard run. Like 75 yards was freaking twice what they had in the first half. But because we don't have dominant contact and Jace Brown's a good player, they score. And then we go out there again, and it was the same thing. Like, don't let them score. Doesn't matter they got the ball on the 12-yard line. Don't let them score. Knock them backwards. Very first play, boom, negative 5-yard play. They try and run the ball again with Avery, no go. Okay, great. The second play, and this is the worst mistake that I've made as assistant coach since we line up off sides, and I pop a timeout, which is like the worst thing you could do. And I turn to Brent immediately because I'm like not supposed to be the one to call timeout. I'm like, Coach, I apologize. One, I forget who I am sometimes, and two, that's like on me. Like I apologize. Like we need those things. Those are like gold in the second half. Okay, so that's like undisciplined by me. So accountability, own it, fix it. Okay, so then now I'm like pissed off at those guys because we lined up off sides and we just took them in a negative play, and now we're going to give them an opportunity to get back, gained yards. So luckily it worked out that we didn't need it later on, but that could have been catastrophic. So that won't happen again. We'll own it, fix it. Third down, bam, get another negative, or we get them into 3rd and 17, second down, get a negative play. 3rd and 17, like we talk about championship downs being your 3rd and 3 to 6, like 7+, we should have a huge advantage. Okay, well, we play a coverage where we should take away the inside. We don't. They get the 17 or 18-yard gain, which, like, that's almost demoralizing because, once again, that's not a response. You've got an opportunity to hold them to a field goal after we just did what we did, and then they get the ball down the first down. They get first down, second down, and I don't think I can get in trouble for this. I've done this before, but, like, he did not score. Like, look at the friggin' replay. Like, they're not in. They gave him the touchdown, whatever. So, we didn't give up a touchdown, but we did because they gave him the points on the board. But so they score right there, and now it's 17-17. Okay, worst 3 minutes you can have. There's still 11:52 to go in the first half, or second half, or third quarter, and it's 17-17 in a game that we've dominated, and all of a sudden now the momentum. And the history of this program says, like, oh, great, here we go again. And, like, probably the people sitting in Arizona Stadium were like, oh, it's the same old Wildcats, here we go. And Coach B, all week long, was like, red line. This thing's going to come down to, all Big 12 games are going to come down to these moments, like, who's going to respond? Who's going to make the play? And I think the neatest thing in the deal, like, Chris Hudson wasn't playing because of injury right there, and he came up to me, he's like, Coach, we got you. And I'm like, tell them, like, I don't get to play. But that was the attitude, was like, don't worry about it. We're good. They scored. We're good. And we drive down on offense. This is the 8th series, and that's when Nunu throws the interception that Seth was talking about. Again, catastrophic. Like, you've gone touchdown, and now you throw an interception. The response from the defense, you go back to that. I talked about the 1993 team. On November 12th in 1993, they're playing Cal. They're up 20-0 at halftime. Boom, blow the lead in the second half, and then they respond. They beat ASU, and they beat Miami in the Fiesta Bowl. That moment right there, I think, was very defining for our football team because the defense went out and got a 3-and-out. Offense gets the next series, goes down, pops a field goal, game's over. Like, they don't score again, we win. And that was the attitude on the sideline. Like, they ain't scoring again. Like, we're going to win the football game. Go out there and keep busting your tail. So in the second half, it goes touchdown, catastrophic, okay? And we turn the ball over on an interception, and then it goes punt, downs, punt, downs. Okay, punt, downs to end the game. Of those 6, 3 of them were 3-and-out, okay? I thought the biggest series in the game was the 8th series after Nunu threw the interception. And I think it kind of said, like, this team has a chance to be for real in this community because of the way they responded. Was Kansas State, Edwards played early on in the game, and I thought, he popped a 12-yard run on the second series when they had a five-play series. We missed a tackle. And I'm gonna maybe PFF will get me for this. I'm gonna argue. Max has like a PFF grade of 26 on there for tackling. I'll fight that all day long. Max has missed 2 tackles, in my opinion. That was one of them on Edwards right there. But Max is probably our best open field tackler. Between him and Gavin, they've done the best on the year. So some of those PFF numbers are awesome. Some of them you take them with a grain of salt. And then the last 2 series, I view kickers, have in my entire career, like they're pencil erasers. Like the only reason a kicker is on the field is because somebody made a mistake in that moment that we have to give them the ball back. Either we didn't do something on offense to get a first down, or we didn't score a touchdown, so they have to go out there and erase the mistake of somebody and kick the field goal. So Do we want Michael to make that field goal? Absolutely. Michael Medina is going to be a great player as we continue to grow, and his response already this week and during the bye week has been really good. But when that moment, whenever we put the field goal team out, I'm honestly on headset like, hey, get those guys up off the bench, like defense be ready. And before he kicked that ball, I said, guys, doesn't matter where they put this ball down. Like, they're not scoring. Like, that's the attitude we got to have. They're not scoring. Go out there and get a 3 and out. And when they made that big 3rd and 17 on Dalton in the third quarter for the second touchdown, when they came off, I told Dalton, I'm like, hey, that was a hell of a play. Like, that was a good design. They're coming back to it. In a key moment in this game, they're coming back to it. On the very fourth down, the very last play of the game, the 4th down, the exact same play that they made. Dalton sitting inside. Jen gets a phenomenal read and almost takes off Dalton's head, like should have intercepted it. And we would lead the nation in gain turnovers. We're down right now by 2 because we didn't play this last week. But Jen dropped 3 interceptions in that game. Like, we should be running away with this thing. So I told Jen, if you want to be, like, out of here, you better start making those plays instead of just making good plays. Make great plays. Like, and there's a chance you'll be out of here. But, like, if you keep just knocking the ball down, they're going to be like, yeah, whatever, we'll get another guy to knock the ball down. So Jen has been unbelievable. But those 2 guys responded in that moment. The linebacker on that play on the 3rd and 17 should have had more depth. Tay Brown was in there on that play, had more depth. Like, they tried to throw a ball where it couldn't go. And the game was over. We win that thing, and guess what? We get to go stab another football because that was 4th down. So, I mean, that was a really good win for this program. But all that is a 3-0 non-conference win. So, like, right now we're 0-0. And we're going to play the best team in this league. Preseason favorite, I mean, everybody's talking about between Texas Tech and Iowa State right now, having the lead be the CFP team. That's awesome. Like, Matt Campbell, what he's been able to do is 11 years at Iowa State, and you guys already addressed the Mike Gundy being at some place for 21 years. I think it's super important for people to understand, like, how valuable continuity is in a football program, especially at this level. And if you're going to pop coaches every 2 to 3 years, like, you're going to have the same results every 2 to 3 years. It's what's going to happen. If you build a program, and I think Desiree is, like, her vision for the University of Arizona is phenomenal. It's, like, unbelievable. And what she's been able to do in the short time here, and her vision last year with all of the stuff, like, no, this is my football coach. Like, Brent has done a phenomenal job, embracing the community. I mean, the red line stuff, I'm so jealous about that NASCAR deal. And Josh Oglesby got all the credit about being a NASCAR fan. Like, okay, I followed Josh today, and they're like, well, it's not expected of you. You're like a little guy. You could like NASCAR. Like, nobody expects Josh Oglesby from Wisconsin, 6'10", big black offensive lineman dude, to like NASCAR. And he's like the biggest NASCAR junkie ever. It's awesome. But like, I was a Carl's Edward fan back in the day, who's retired, so old I am. But like, and I got off track. But the whole red line deal, okay, that collaboration is awesome. Like what Coach Brennan is doing, like the amount of love that he has for Tucson, and I talk about like 5-2 all the time, is why if you have continuity in a football program, like you can build something special. Like I think I have one of the best jobs in the country. And people can argue, well, you're in Tucson, you're in Arizona, you know what? I'm the defensive coordinator at a Power 4 school that if you rely on your eye and you evaluate, you have everything you need. Now, are we going to have more money than some people? No. Do you need more money? No. You need enough to be competitive. You need enough to be competitive in the revenue share now. And then you got to be find people that are all in. And like, we could build a dynasty here if we evaluate right. If we don't evaluate right, it doesn't matter. We will suck. Like that's just fact. Like if you don't get good players, you're going to be terrible. So before we move on to Iowa State, where are we at, Coach Shear? What's the time?
A disappointing 20 minutes.
Okay, well then I need to cut it down there because I don't want to be at 41. So moving on to Iowa State real quick, I'll give you a synopsis of what we got. Like Rocco Becht, 31 starts, 22-9 as a starter. Okay, like this dude does not make mistakes. He's very dangerous with his feet. He's 28 for 47 yards, like rushing right now with 28 carries, but he has 91 gained yards. He's been sacked 6 times for minus 41 yards. His ability to run the ball, especially on short down and distances, is uncanny. And he's aggressive. When he has to, he'll run you over. When he doesn't have to, he's smart and he protects himself. But like he never puts them in the wrong plays, and it looks like he has the opportunity to check in and out of plays every single time. So like he might be the most efficient quarterback in this league with how they build their team. They're built like a Big Ten team. I mean, they're gigantic across the board. Their O-line, the 5 starters, they have together, okay, listen to this, combined 117 starts amongst the starters. Their left tackle, Tyler Miller, 41 starts. He's gigantic. He's 6'9", 335. And he's super athletic, and he looks like he's the biggest, one of the biggest linemen I've seen on tape ever, and the ability that he has to play. Okay, and the stuff that they do with the way they block, like that group up front with that many starts is why they have a chance to be, and the continuity that I talked about with what Coach Campbell's built in that program and what Seth talked about, how trying to aspire to that. Like, heck yeah, like the whiteout out there in Ames, Iowa is going to be freaking phenomenal. We're going to be the sacrificial lamb. Okay, now their tight ends, they're built off of 12 and 13 personnel. They'll spend a little bit of time in 11 and put some wideouts out there. They just graduated, or 2 NFL wideouts in the NFL that are phenomenal players that Beck was throwing the ball to last year. Your best coaches use your best talent, what you have. It's like how I talked about during the season, people are going to be a 3-3-5 team. We're going to be whatever our best personnel is on the field. Sometimes we'll be 4 linebackers, 2 D linemen. Some line, we were talking today, we got 1 D lineman, 10 line. I mean, all that stuff that we've got opportunities at. Okay. The tight ends, that's what they built their program around. Gabe Burkle, 84, like that dude will violently try and kill you like an old lineman. And then Benjamin Bauer, number 18, like he's their receiving tight end. But like that dude will try and rip your face off when they block you. So they create extra gaps with 12 personnel. So a great challenge. I mean, we're going to have to put extra people in those gaps to make sure that we cancel them and that they can't run the ball. I mean, take away the run. That's the best thing to do. They're going to try and pound it down our tail. There are 2 running backs, Carson Heck and 24 Abu. Those 2 guys are like linebackers at running back. They're big. They'll get in some wildcat stuff, which we will see for sure because of the way we handle Jace Brown. And they'll give us different looks. They have a couple 300-yard. I mean, they're just under 300 yards for the season. So they got 2 guys that are going to be a chance at being 1,000-yard backs in the same backfield. Freaking phenomenal. Okay, and then you got Xavier Townsend, the transfer from UCF, where they'll put him in the backfield like Jace Brown. I think he's very similar to Jace Brown with what they do with him and how they move him around. And then number 9, Brett, and I don't want to ruin his name because it's kind of spelled, it's like Eiklinson or however, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I should have probably looked it up. But that dude is like a 10-600-meter guy, will take it over the top and just is so vigilant with his routes and how he plays. And then on the perimeter, those guys block their tails off. And then they got 6'5" receivers that they'll throw down there in the red zone, and they throw it to their 6'7" and 6'5" tight ends. I mean, Gabe Burkle is 6'7", Benjamin Bauer 6'6". So like they're gigantic across the board. So the challenge that we have, I mean, one, they've got a program that they're fighting for the championship. They were in the championship last year every single year, like what we're trying to aspire to build. So the biggest thing is to face this opponent. Like I know I just mentioned off everything about their offense, but like it doesn't matter who we play. It's the University of Arizona that has to stop from beating the University of Arizona. We can't line up off sides and have your dumbass defense coordinator pop a timeout. We can't hold on offense when we're tired. We can't make mistakes on special teams. Like the University of Arizona fixes the University of Arizona. That's our worst enemy. And then take on the faceless opponent, and we'll go from there. Boom. There we go. 24, whatever their coach here.
So you mentioned the championship down.
Yes.
You guys were 3 for 17 against Kansas State on 3rd and 4th down. Iowa State's really good at 3rd and 4th down.
Very much so.
So how important is that element?
It's going to be the difference in the game. I mean, the team that doesn't turn the ball over and who wins 3rd down battle is going to be the team that has the best chance to win. Like I always say this, the team that plays the hardest the longest, and that's what they're built on, playing hard and out physicaling you. The 3 for 13 on 3rd down and 0 for 4 on 4th down, like the 0 for 4 is significant. One, because 2 of them were the final 2 series of the game when we have 6-point lead. And then the other one in the first half, they did get down to midfield, but we get them into a 4th and 10 and they go for it. And Chase Kennedy and Deshaun McKnight are making him run out of his mind, but the coverage downfield was phenomenal. And we have some dudes up front that can get to the quarterback with some pass rushing skills. I mean, we didn't have Trey Smith. We got pressure on Avery with those guys with some of the stunts we're doing. And then we are aggressive. I mean, the 3rd play of the game, after the 3rd play of the series and the 2nd series were after the mishap. Like, did you see Traden Stukes come off the edge? Like, that running back tried to block him. It was like he wasn't even there. It was awesome. Like, the violent demeanor, the bad humor he came with. So we're going to have to be really good on 3rd down, getting pressure on Rocco Becht so that he's not comfortable and he can't go through his progression. And then we have to do a great job on the perimeter covering. And they do a great job in pass protection, and they will keep 2 tight ends in. They'll make sure that he has time. And then they do a bunch of double move stuff, and they do a bunch of pick routes downfield that they try and get you out of coverage so that and they're very good at it. And if you look at their 3rd down, they're really good on 3rd and short, which the offense should have the example or advantage, but they're really good on 3rd and 3 to 6. And it's because they have a ton of them. Because they're so good, they stay in front of the chains. Like, if you get negative plays on them, that's your best chance. Like, Iowa did a good job in the second half of getting negative plays on 1st and 2nd down, but they still beat them. So he doesn't make mistakes. That's the greatest thing about him, their quarterback.
Jason and David?
Is this the biggest challenge in terms of physicality that you've had this season?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. We ran the ball really well on offense. And during fall camp, I mean, we take a lot of pride in how much effort we're going to put into stopping the run. And like right now, we're giving up 96 yards a game rushing. And you take out that 75 yards play, and we'd be up in the top 15 in the country in total defense and rushing. Like, our offense can run the ball. Our offense does a great job up front. So there's some, with our service and crossover periods, there's some positiveness on that because I think our offensive front is very physical. And I think all offensive, like, they should just make holding legal because they do it every down. Where they shouldn't allow you to do it is, like, tackle a guy out on the perimeter. Like, that should be called if they call holding. But, like, inside, let them try and kill each other. Like, who cares? They do it anyway. And then they call it the worst time, like the worst opportune time is when the freaking flag comes out. So just make it legal, take that off of the onus of the referees, and then when you see them out here, call it. If they're not out here, freaking let them hold. They do anyway. And guess what? That makes the defense be more violent and try and freaking, and then you have an opportunity to get off blocks and all those things. But, like, the physicality that Iowa State plays with is why they're so good year in and year out. And when you get into the games when it's cold up in Ames, Iowa, it doesn't matter. They don't rely on throwing the ball. And he throws it with precision, even in the cold games, but they can just beat you into obliteration running the football. So it's a great challenge. Like, this is, like, going to be super fun on Saturday night. Sorry, I didn't mean to spit on your microphone. Super fun because of what the kind of game it's going to be like. That's why you play football.
David and then Michael.
Coach, it seems like a number of instances where guys like Chase Kennedy and Genesis have had that run at the quarterback. And in the past, we might see guys try to make a tackle there, but your guys will hide, maybe try to make an impact on the ball, per se. Is that kind of by design?
So it is because they've changed the rules. You don't jump at the quarterback. Like, we try and get them not to leave their feet until the ball's gone. Because, like, Noah, like, that pump on the run, like, you jump and now it's a freaking big old play. There's certain stunts that we know we're going to get a guy free to the quarterback. So we teach it so that we don't get targetings and we don't get late hits like on the quarterback. Like, we do stuff where we have those pop-up bags that we gut in half, where we jump around them too, because it used to be you get one step and you could just freaking lay out a quarterback. I mean, the stuff that they're calling the NFL right now, like, they're trying to teach old D linemen to spin as they're tackling quarterbacks so they don't land on them, so they don't get penalties. It's the same thing in college. If you hit a guy too hard, especially the quarterback, it's going to be a penalty. So how can you avoid those opportunities? And then we have some guys with some really long arms, like Chase Kennedy and Jen. I mean, they're tall and they're long. So that disruption creates problems for the quarterback. The one that you saw Jen come where they threw the ball out of bounds was because Jen came free and he was in his face. But then you see Jen as he's getting his hands up, he leaped as the last seconds the ball's out, but he's able to avoid hitting Avery. Whereas later we have a corner glitz come off the edge where Aiden Garner's chasing him across the field. We don't quite set the wall, but he gets such a good lick on him. It's a violent lick, but he doesn't take him to the ground because he knew the ball was gone. And as he hit him in the back of the ribs, he spun off so that he doesn't get the penalty. And, like, those are game-changing moments. Now, don't get me wrong. We are going to get a late hit penalty at some point during this season because of the aggressive nature we play, and everybody's going to be mad, and me too. You won't see me cuss the dude out because, like I said earlier, I don't think that's coaching. But the way we play, we're going to get some of those. The way we get guys to jump on the pile, it's coming. Hopefully it's not in a game-changing moment. That's the worst part and why we try and train that stuff.
And you mentioned, obviously, Gavin's been one of your best open field tacklers. What's your emphasis on how you want guys to approach that in space?
Try and gut somebody in half. Don't break down. Like, we do not break down. Like, you will not see a guy run and stutter his feet and try and make a play because the athletes that we go against are way too good. And you give them an inch of space, they're going to make you miss. And that's what I talk about all the time. If you see a guy, a corner, run to the field, or if you see Gavin run through the outside shoulder and they violently launch through a receiver and miss, it's not the missed tackle on them, it's the missed tackle if the pursuit's not getting there fast enough. And I think yards after contact, we're at like 167 on the season. And one of those is a 75-yard run because we did touch him inside there, which sucks. And then the other pieces are, we've had two, and I talked about Max Harris being a great tackler. The one that he missed against Hawaii that rolled off and was a 21-yard run, that's one, he should make the tackle wrap up the way, by design, the way he gator rolled. You should never gator roll around the ribs. You gator roll around the knees. But when we don't have that pursuit, that's where the missed tackles come in, and that's where you get yards after contact. And so we don't break down. We try and gut people in half, and that's why we do the stuff that we do on those bags. And then the pursuit, and we we make a huge emphasis on how hard we're going to run to the ball on every single play. And if that thing's even twitching, get a piece of the pile and never stand around a pile, because that's when you get your knees taken out and all those things. And it's kind of taken to effect, but that's why those guys, because we are good athletes too, if the running back tries to make a miss and you just got him, bam, you knock the tar out of him. And then if you miss, the pursuit ought to get it.
Michael and Troy.
Couple questions for you. There was one targeting incident.
Jabbar.
This season with Jabbar.
Yes, sir.
I think he did kind of all the things that you don't
100%. One, he's going to get mad at me because he's my size. He's 5'9" or whatever. He's bigger than me. But he's coming up, and a guy can never lead up like this with his helmet. And that was exactly what he did. And then when you're coming in a quarterback, as you're coming with your hands here, they've got to be up so that you get in the lane of the hands. He didn't. He came up here and went violently through. It was a good call, and I hate targeting, but it was the right call. Thank God it happened in the first half, and we were able to use him because he was a big part of the 4 linebacker look for the Kansas State game, especially once we found out when Riley wasn't going to be able to play. Like, it threw a monkey wrench into it, but thank God that he was able to play, that it happened in the first half. But yeah, that was like everything that I just talked about with David. That was like the opposite of what he did. So I promise you this, he heard about it, and there was probably some colorful words, which I really tried to not like cussing, but. Yes.
I asked Brent yesterday if there was maybe like a turning point sometime this summer with the defense where you really sense a change in attitude. He said that one practice inside in the Davis Center where you guys had all those interceptions. What do you think about that?
I thought that night was phenomenal. Like, it was a competition between the offense and defense, and it was turnovers, and we ended up with 5 interceptions that night. There was a night up out on the field where 9-on-7 was as violent. It's going to be like what Saturday night's about. Like this Saturday night game was as violent and as physical as anything that I've been around. It was fun. And the thing about good football teams and good football players is like that's the kind of things that excite them. And when they're having exciting times at that, where you get in trouble is when those things get going like that. Guys have a lot of pride, as they should. Like a lot of big egos, and good football players most of the time you have to be able to control your ego. You get embarrassed or you get out hit or you get knocked on your tail, that's when silly things happen because you're trying to get somebody else back. And so it got really excited and we moved on from the drill and stopped it, and it was great. And how you respond in that moment. I thought the offense did a great job in the next service period and responded and was phenomenal. I thought when Brent decided what we were going to do on defense, when he was going to make me the coordinator back in December, and then we went through January and all that stuff, or January, whatever the timeline was, and we started evaluating players and figuring out who we get. And then when we had the Deshaun McKnight, and we had Max Harris, and we had Michael Dansby and Javian Cole, and then Dalton and Traden and Jen all decided to stay, like I knew there's an opportunity to be special because we had enough depth. And I said this earlier, I think we had, at the time, I thought we had 18 or 19, and we would need some luck to stay healthy, like all good football teams, to be pretty good on defense. And you know, I make some outlandish comments sometimes. I mean, I believe in what we do, and I believe in our football team. And I said, you know, way back in the spring, like this could be a top 15 defense, which hasn't happened here since the early 90s. And we are not a top 15 defense, by the way. Like we played 3 games. Okay, let's be honest. But I thought we had the ability to continue to keep getting better every week if we can stay healthy. And those guys bought into what we do, and they bought into what we do from day one, which I thought during the spring. Okay, this is looking promising if we stay healthy. You got Trey Smith, you got Sean McKnight, you got Tia Savea, you got Malachi Bailey, who from the spring I wasn't preaching Malachi Bailey's name, and I'm all about Malachi Bailey now, which I love the young man's for his demeanor and fight to get through. And you got Max, and you got Tay, and you got Chase, and you got Riley, and you got all these pieces, and then the secondary, which I think our secondary is elite. Okay, and now the corners have played way better than I think anybody thought, including myself. I thought they would be solid, but I think we've kind of got this inept ability to cover and play with confidence. And there's a huge difference now between being arrogant and confident. And when you're 3-0 and you've played, I mean, everybody here is telling us how great we are, and that Desert Swarm's back and all that nonsense. Like, if you buy into that, you're going to get your ass whipped. I mean, you're going to get your tail whipped. That's what's going to happen. And so, can we keep the idea of a faceless opponent? Can we take Iowa State, no different than we did Kansas State, no different than we did Weber State, no different than we did Hawaii? And I thought we did a great job of taking Kansas State, the same approach that we did during the week against Weber State. And I thought last week, I think Bai said we won the bye week, and I think that's a big deal. Like, you can get your ass kicked, you can get your tail whipped in the bye week by not showing up, not taking care of your body, not getting healthy, not doing those things. And then we get an extra day to go against Iowa State. So take that to your advantage. They got an extra day too because they got a bye week. So both teams are going to be as fresh as they've been since, and they went to Ireland. So all that, going to Ireland and playing all the games, all that is off the table. Like, it's conference season, here we go, and both teams should be at their best point.
I'll ask two of you, Troy and Justin.
In terms of recruiting last week, just the response that you and the coaching staff got when you guys were going out there and seeing some of the 2026 and 2027 guys.
Much like around here, because everybody watches football and we happen to be on TV, especially on the Fox, and the highlights were all over. There was a lot of pride and a lot of excitement about the Arizona logo being out on the road. We're trying to flip some people that are committed to other places, just like people are trying to flip our guys that are committed to us. And so the reception at the high school and the reception of that is always fun when you're winning. So you got a 3-0 team, and then we're going to put that out there that we're 3-0 and the Wildcats are coming to town. There's some positive momentum on that. We go and get our tails whipped this weekend, that positive momentum goes right out the window. And so it was really fun because we did beat Kansas State, and Coach Kleiman and Coach Wells and Coach, those guys will get that program fixed this year. Like, that's good. I know a lot of people are saying like Kansas State sucks. They don't. It's a good football team, and once they figure out once they stop beating Kansas State, they're gonna have an opportunity to win a bunch of games. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they don't by the end of the season, but I don't believe that because I think they do a great job coaching.
We'll finish up with Justin.
Thoughts on Chase Kennedy and how he settled into his linebacker role, and then what did you make of the 4 linebacker lineup and what those guys showed?
Speed. Now this is for all of you. Y'all said Chase Kennedy would suck off the ball. And you can deny it all you want. Y'all did. And Chase Kennedy is a freak athlete. Chase Kennedy gives us go ahead, Coach, here, put that on your board. Like Coach G said, Chase Kennedy sucks. Chase Kennedy has a really good skill of, he's twitchy and he's quick. But Chase Kennedy did a great job in the weight room. And Chase Kennedy is one of our guys that can power clean 300 pounds. Which that explosive movement, and I think the best thing, if you guys, especially for the ones that detail and watch our tape, watch Chase Kennedy as an edge rusher this year as opposed to an edge rusher and his technique last year, okay? Last year he spent the entire time in the D-line. Like, he had the innate ability to make people miss, but oftentimes it was compromising what the ability was for us to stop a running quarterback because you're opening up lanes. He's strong enough now that he can long arm jab, he can collapse pockets. And now that he has that in his arsenal, as quick and as twitchy as he is, those guys have to be prepared for both. Where last year, they would just open up the path and see if Chase Kennedy could beat him with speed and run around him. And oftentimes he did, but oftentimes he didn't. Well, at 220, that's hard. At 235, 230, where Chase is rolling around, he got up to 240 at the kind of end of summer, but realistically never going to stay there. He's wavering around 230-ish, 235 right now. The strength that he has with that and the twitchiness that he has, between him and Riley and now Myron Robinson, that he's healthy, like those 3 guys have some explosiveness that we put 4 linebackers on the field because it gave us an opportunity to chase their speed if Avery Johnson was going to try and run the ball and have an opportunity to match that. And then I think what we do defensively, the way we try and teach it conceptually, you can do different things with personnel groups without having to install a whole new defense because of the concepts, if you have smart football players. And so give our kids credit. They've done a great job attacking the scheme and attacking everything that we want to do from day 1 in February when we started getting out on the field to what we're doing now, so that those concepts, we can call the similar defense with signals and everything, but the pieces are different. So I look at the pieces on defense as 11 X's. I don't look at a nose guard, a tackle, an end. If they're going to have 7 dudes out there that are 300 pounds, or they've got the 2 tight ends that are 260, well then if we're going to put tiny X's out there, we're going to get our tail whipped. So we're going to have to put some big X's out there to match some of those things. Kansas State, we put some big X's out there. We put some smaller X's out there. So what's going to give us the best advantage to compete what we're going against without out-scheming yourself? Without, if the guys go in there and screw it up during the week, that's not their fault, that's your fault. That's the coach's fault. So how can we do enough without doing too much Because the one thing that everybody has talked about that we have going for us right now is we play violent and we play fast. Well, the fastest way to screw that up is give them way too many assignments and try and be too cute schematically, and then you go get your tail whipped because now they can't play because you've handicapped them. Or handcuffed them. Excuse me, I apologize. Handicap that's not what I meant. You handcuff them. And so keeping them the ability to play fast and physical is our best chance of having success on Saturday night in Ames, Iowa at 6 o'clock in a whiteout where we're going to be the sacrificial lamb. Like, let's go do this. Huh? Was that the last question? All right, bear down.